Senator Udall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here, and it's great to see you today. You have been, I think, a real and dedicated public servant for this country, and your travels around the world, as many here have talked about it, the million miles that you've put on and all the countries you visited, and I think you've been to many countries where they've never had a Secretary of State. And I've seen firsthand when I've been to many of these countries the difference it makes to have you there on the ground. So I first of all just want to thank you for that, and I know it does take a toll, but you are incredibly dedicated to that. Secondly, it's great to see you here in good health, smiling and engaging with all of us. And I want to add to the list. Senators going down the line talked about some of your accomplishments. I know previously I talked to you about cook stoves, which I know has been one of your initiatives. And it's once again an example of picking something where people around the world who are living on $1 or $2 a day, if you put in a technology like a up-to-date cook stove, you can make a big difference on their health, in the health of their children, and you can make a big difference on the environment. So I would add that to the list that has been given here today of very thoughtful policy making on your part. Now, one of the findings the board made in its report is that, and I'm quoting here, the total elimination of risk is a non-starter for U.S. diplomacy, given the need for the U.S. government to be present in places where stability and security are often most profoundly lacking and host government support is sometimes minimal to non-existent. And I'm ending the quote there. And this report really, as you know, Madam Secretary, underscores the difficulty in finding the right balance between engagement and security. And I fully support, as you've asked here and you've made the point to our committee, the idea that we should reprogram this $1.4 billion, get our act together, and respond to the recommendations. But my question here revolves around these high-risk posts. I think the term you've used is having 20 of them. Is this how many there are? How many high-risk posts we have around the world?
Well, it's a sliding scale.
Yes,
there's there's very high and there's high. I mean, it's a constantly evolving threat environment.
Can you give us a little bit of a range? I mean, very high and
yeah. I would like to give you that in a classified document because I don't think it helps us to point out the ones that we think are most at risk and then the ones that would be perhaps in a secondary category. But I think it's fair to say, Senator, we operate in Pakistan, we operate in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Yemen. We operate in places where we know that our facilities are being surveilled for potential attacks, where we have a steady intel stream of plotting against us. We know that. And we make the decision, which is a difficult decision, as to whether or not that mission continues. And I have to say that we really rely on our security professionals to implement the protocols and the procedures. And I have to say they do a tremendous job. The vast majority of the cases, I could give you a long list of attacks averted, of assassinations stopped, of the kinds of daily efforts that our diplomatic security professionals are engaged in. So I have a lot of confidence in them, but we're gonna do what we can to make sure that they get the support within our bureaucracy that they deserve out on the ground protecting our diplomats.
And I know I want to obey the time limits here because you need to move over the House and others want to question. But maybe you could answer this one for the record. Does it make sense that in some of these high-risk areas that we consolidate those particular areas with more secure areas and then be able to be in a situation where our personnel would be safer. And I'm not asking you really to answer that now. My time's run out, and I want others to be able to question. But if you could give us an answer for the record, that would be great.
I will do that, and I will say, Senator, one of the recommendations out of the East Africa ARB was to do that, and that is done, again, in the vast majority of cases, wherever it's possible to do what's called co-locate. But we're taking a look at that as well to see what more we can do.
Senator Paul.